Hello and welcome to the channel. Let's talk about the latest concerning South African presidency snubbing Jacob Zuma from the mentions in their post. Let's take a look at this.
It will not take. Guys, lipika mala Zuma. Lipika mala ngamala. He is a former head of state. Why Umsholozi he was not mentioned with public official page kakhulumeni ukuthi uyila maybe. But Thabo Mbeki, former president and former deputy Phumzile, where is former a recent one? Uzoma. Bamkhohliwe guys, like really bamkhohliwe. Anike ninzondo.
Well, the president of South Africa was in Namibia to celebrate the new president of Namibia, who is a lady, by the way. And we saw the president of Tanzania coming in to congratulate her as joining her in one of the people that became presidents. That are women. We know that the president of Mexico is also a woman, so congratulations for them for showing leadership that it has no gender. It is definitely a skill that can be found in any of the genders. Now, the part that is controversial here in South Africa is the fact that the government of South Africa acknowledged the presence on the social media post of the South African government. They posted the fact that Cyril Ramaphosa went there for a visit, which was what they usually do, right? Now, Undlela had to put out a statement for the MKP in response to this act by the government communications team, where they snubbed Jacob Zuma from their post recognizing dignitaries at the Namibian inauguration. Now, this is what they had to say in their statement. It was released by Undlela because Floyd himself was with Jacob Zuma at the time, and we also saw the daughter of Jacob Zuma, Duduzile, coming out strongly condemning the South African government, but also thanking the people of Namibia for showing Jacob Zuma love. So this is their response. MKP notes with condemnation the so-called GNU's abuse of state-owned platforms to undermine President Zuma in order to drive and spread narrow-minded political agendas. That was the heading. The first paragraph goes as follows. The Umkhonto Wesizwe Party, MKP, notes with strong condemnation the DA-led coalition that the so-called Government of National Unity, GNU's attempt at erasing President Zuma's presence at Namibian President Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwah's inauguration from South African history. The second paragraph. Through an previously Twitter post, the country's official account at Government ZAC, currently handled under administration, shared images from the inauguration ceremony and in their caption acknowledged other former heads of state but deliberately excluded HE President Jacob Zuma, albeit his attendance. This blatant act of political provocation, coupled with their attempt to erase a very important and progressive part of the country's history through their baseless 9 wasted years campaign, serves to agitate the MKP party, mislead the general public, and paint an untrue and unjust narrative by deliberately choosing to single out and not acknowledge the president's presence at the inauguration. The so-called GNU has insulted both President Jacob Zuma and also undermined the nation at large. The third paragraph here. The use of state-owned platforms such as the official social media page to promote biased political agendas undermines the principles of fairness and impartiality. Such actions threatened the integrity of democratic processes by undermining and manipulating public perception and opinion through sharing selective information. It is the duty of the GNU to ensure the platforms such as official government social media serve as neutral spaces that foster open, honest dialogue and should not be used as a tool to promote political propaganda. The MKP asserts that President Jacob Zuma was indeed in attendance and was in fact well received by the Namibian community and delegates in attendance. It is unfortunate that the current government, the so-called GNU, perceives President Zuma as a threat to the extent at which they have resorted to attempting to erase his presence in spaces of national interest. This calculated act of political erasure not only is petty politics, but it is a big insult to the history of South Africa. And the last part is that the MKP strongly declares that President Jacob Zuma is not going anywhere, regardless of any deliberate attempts to erase his presence and legacy. And as it is signed by Undlela for inquiries, head of communications and media. Okay, not sure. Is it Sipo who wrote it, or is it Undlela? Let me know, guys, what are your thoughts on that? Of course, there were a lot of responses to this post, but notably that was on the 21st, and the day of the inauguration. It didn't receive a lot of attention, but as soon as the government also put out their post, then there was interest because they actually saw that Cyril Ramaphosa and Jacob Zuma and Thabo Mbeki, who is so vocal about Jacob Zuma, were actually in the same room in Namibia. Yay, if anybody could have been a fly in that wall. And what made it worse is that when Jacob Zuma's name was called and it was his turn to go and congratulate the fifth president of Namibia, he received a warm welcome. He got a big round of applause. And yeah, so that did not make it easier for, I guess, this communications team. There are privileges that a former president in South Africa enjoys, and Jacob Zuma should still enjoy them, regardless whether he is now in a new political party or not. He still has privileges that he enjoys as a former president of the country. And then for him to be snubbed in this way, we saw him receiving such a good welcome also in Ghana, right, for that inauguration, and here he is also again in Namibia. What are your thoughts on this? Are they deliberately trying to frustrate the MKP? But of course, MKP used this opportunity to campaign and Floyd took pictures and more pictures in Namibia. Please give this video a thumbs up in support of this channel. Thank you so much for joining us on this one. Please give this video a thumbs up, kindly subscribe to the channel, and I invite you to the next video. See you there.